Hey guys, welcome to Coaching with Chris. I was thinking about this. I was kind of wanted to have some fun with this, like midnight coaching with Chris, like I was a radio DJ or something like that. But I know you don't want to hear about that. All right, I'll stop being goofy. Hey, I am so excited today. I get to bring in a good friend, an amazing human being. I got to say this first. I met Jason at a coaching event. Jason and I got coached for 6 months together, and we just built our relationship through that period, and then just continue to build. Jason just amazes me. His growth this last 12 months, 18 months, as he got refocused and took advantage of this market, is working on his business just like us. He has fears, he has struggles, he has the same stuff that we're all going through, but how he is winning day to day through his company, through his personal production, I think you're going to find uplifting. I think you're going to get some great nuggets. So be ready to take some notes. Jason, are you there?
I am here. So thanks so much for the opportunity.
You know, look, as the years have gone by, we have transitioned to t-shirts.
I was thinking about that this morning. I asked Gwen, and she's like, definitely a t-shirt. And so we're blessed to be able to see our niece graduate from nursing school later. So it'll be an easier transition from the, call it button-down shirt.
It used to be a button-down shirt and tie.
Yes.
And now we're to t-shirts and sport coats.
And sometimes sneakers.
Which is my favorite.
Yes.
Well, Jason, first of all, as you guys are listening to this, one of the things that we love is that we love to know like where you're from. So make sure in the comment section you're tagging in the state that you're from, because it's just like so cool to see all across the country. And as you guys are listening to this, don't forget you can also listen to this on Spotify or Apple Play. But Jason, you started in the mortgage business, your career, and following your father's footsteps. Like, tell us a little bit about Jason's story into the mortgage business.
Yeah, well, I think outside of maybe some of us old folks who our children could potentially follow in our footsteps, we didn't come out of the womb just saying that I was going to be a mortgage professional. And so initially, I definitely knew I was going to be my own boss because I kind of marched to my own drum. But initially, I was going to be a professional athlete. And you heard me talk about this briefly at my dad's celebration of life. And I was like, oh, you guys don't have to save for retirement because I'm going to make it to the MLB. So you have nothing to worry about. And they were dying inside, but never let me see the laughter that was going on, and never quieted my dreams or put any limiting beliefs there. And so that's something that I'm eternally grateful for my parents instilling the belief and believing in me that I could pretty much accomplish anything I set my mind to.
Yeah.
But my dad was an executive on the subprime side of the business. So you think about somebody that we would send loans to before subprime blew up. And then there was a time where his bank shut down. He went into semi-retirement, got a little bored with playing golf. But I noticed some acquaintances from high school that were getting into the mortgage business. They were having some success. And I was like, if those jokers, and that's literally what I said, can be successful in this, well, I know I can do it. And that's really how we got to start. My cousin, who's also my business partner, was working straight out of college at SunTrust Mortgage Division in Lakeland, which is about an hour and a half from here. And we literally started training for about a 60-day period after hours on my parents' back patio, and then joined a brokerage that was under a net branch for a small local lender, for example. We were losing money at the time, and that's really how we got our start. But it's kind of funny how far we've come, because in the beginning, I did house calls because our office was a shithole. And I didn't want them to judge a book by its cover. And I'm so blessed to have some of those clients still from 24 years ago. And I got to recognize them at our open house about a year and a half ago.
Wow. So you've been in the business 24 years.
Yes.
And, you really followed your father's footsteps. Now, fast forwarding to the day, the company that you built, tell me a little bit about Certified.
Yeah, certified mortgage planners. One of our core values is professional family. And going back to my dad, that is something that he put in place. Initially, we called it culture before we actually tagged professional family. And this is actually something that I even shared in an interview that I did with him 5 years ago. But I got to see that at a very young age about how you, as a leader, interact and celebrate and do life with your staff. And I think that in order to have high levels of accountability, you've got to be in relationship first. And then that plus the accountability is what equates to results. But I got to see my dad when I was a little boy with his employees. And then I got to see that when we started Certified Mortgage Planners together, and he put the initial culture in place. And then we've just been able to build on that, but truly a professional family.
So you're growing. How many loan officers do you guys have today?
We've got 33 loan officers and about 90 in the company.
Wow. So you got 90 employees, 30 some loan officers. What's next for Jason? Like, what are you thinking about when this market is this way and it's really at the cusp of probably changing? Like, if I'm looking inside Jason's brain, which is probably pretty scary, we could ask Gwen, but she would tell us that's pretty scary. What's Jason thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the growth that I've experienced over the last 12 months, and I had my chief sales officer leave to enter the coaching space, and I didn't know it at the time, but that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because one, I was leading by example and I was doing the personal production, but I wasn't really front and center, face of the company, and really just pouring into the loan officers every single day. And so that is the thing that's speaking to me right now. Now, going through a tougher market, and maybe the toughest market that most will ever see, I still feel like I've had to lead by example, and I would never ask my loan officers or my staff to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. And so that's where, again, it's important for me at this moment to still be in personal production, to still be relevant, to be able to coach them through the same challenges that maybe I'm having, and to really show them the roadmap. Like, you know, if you want to go from 10 million to 25 or 25 to 50 or 50 beyond, we already have the roadmap. So we're already there. And so that's where we can help you get there that much quicker. But again, I just think that it's so important as a leader, at least for me right now, to be in the trenches with them, elbow to elbow, as you call it, getting in the weeds and really just growing and helping each other get to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, when I was starting Windsor, I would ask Jason, how do you like this? And how do you like that? And how would you do this? And how would you do that? And he really gave me a lot of insight. And now today, I feel like I'm watching Jason. By the way, you just made a great comment that when your chief, what was Chris's
Chief sales officer,
but then it was like the best thing that ever happened to him and the best thing that ever happened to you and your best buds. It's just, that is just like the coolest story ever. But transitioning in to this new role and continuing to produce, by the way, I see a lot of people in your position stop producing, and that has to be hard. What would you tell me out there that, you know, I'm a branch manager and I'm not producing? By the way, I went through this transition myself 15 some years ago and had to go back to producing. I had a lot of insecurities when I started back. But like, how did you make that transition to do both? And how do you balance both?
It is still difficult. I did get called out today, which I'll share in just a second. You know who called me out? Who? The one who can hold me accountable at the highest level. It's my wife, Gwen.
Oh, yeah.
And she called me out in front of my team.
By the way.
She called me out in front of the entire team today. Oh. And I think we do wear a lot of hats right now, and you're trying to be all things to all people. And you really can't. And we even talked about it recently where, hey, you have a top 140 list. You can't have a top 500 list because you just can't be everything to all 500, for example. But one, I'd say I have an amazing team. Like, I have an amazing team that sets me up to give advice, to not keep me in the weeds or the loan level details, for example. Not that I don't have those challenges. I do have a different dynamic than a lot of companies out there, to where my cousin, who's my business partner, is a non-producing CEO. My chief sales officer, who's also one of my best friends, and we had this in as part of our vision 12 years ago, is also a non-producing sales officer, for example. And so that allows me to really lead with personal production and then take the lead from a coaching standpoint with the company. But it's something that I have to balance. And I think that there's going to be ebbs and flows. So sometimes you have to turn on the personal production attention, and then sometimes you have to go to, turning on the company and loan officer attention, for example. And that's kind of the ebbs and flows of that. But I got called out for not having personal prospecting for the personal production piece in the calendar. I mean, and it hasn't really been a focus for me. Sometimes that can hurt your team, but I've fortunately got a lot of relationships and a pretty big database that business continues going. But what's the lost opportunity cost of that? But I still have to balance that and lead by example.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks, but our wives always know the truth. And it takes a minute to be able to register for sure. What advice would you give? Like, I got about 30 guests here right now going through our playbook. And we spent the morning really talking about getting ready for this new market. And one of the topics was, your first hire. And, you and I have been through this before. We've made mistakes. We've hired wrong. We've directed wrong. We had the wrong job descriptions. We could write a little book about your first hire in the mortgage business. That might be a good book for us to write. I don't know if anyone would read it, but we would. It would be, what advice would you give us in hiring our very first, why we should hire, and what level should I be at? And then maybe even following up with, I'm giving you a lot here, Jason, is the job description of that person. Like, what are they going to do? Because I think a lot of loan officers like, I want to hire, I need help. But like, okay, what would they do? Because we're control freaks.
Yeah. A lot of times we want to hire ourselves, and that's the cardinal sin. I would say definitely do not hire yourself. A lot of times as a sales professional, we aren't as focused on the details, sometimes not even on the follow through. And that's where I think that oftentimes that first hire has to be an administrative role. You can also look at it. There's two things. And so, from the coaching group that we are a part of called the Core, you have an LP1, that loan partner one, that can be an administrative loan partner one, or you can also have a technical skills LP1. And that LP1 is personally what I have on the front end, to where she's going to take most of my loan applications. She's going to set the face-to-face appointment for me, or the Zoom. She's going to set them up in our secure client portal for income and asset documentation. She's going to literally just allow me to show up at that consultation and give that 30-minute high-level presentation, for example.
What's that portal that you're using today? We use Flowify, but I don't know what you use.
We use Flowify as well. So The reason I don't say Flowify sometimes is because the consumer doesn't know, but from a loan officer standpoint, yeah, Flowify is amazing. I think we've been using Flowify for at least 5 or more years.
Yeah, I don't know any better. We always look, we never find anyone better. So you guys, if you're listening to this and you're not using Flowify, go check it out. I think we talked about it for 30 minutes today, how to implement Flowify inside your business, and the reminders back to your clients, and then engaging your buy and seller agents after that. What's the biggest mistake you made in hiring, besides you can't hire yourself, which, by the way, I always love to hire the people that I like, necessarily not the best for the job. That's probably my biggest mistake. What about you in hiring mistakes that you could give the audience that don't do this?
Yeah, definitely hiring too fast, not being thorough, hiring the person that you like. And then once you have a mishire, also not letting that mishire go soon enough. And so really that motto of hire slow, fire fast, although now at this point, because of making so many mistakes over and over, it's rare for us to make a mishire at this point, especially on the personal production team. And then once you have that team, that's just where you've got to take care of them. And then that longevity is what keeps them there. And over time, that's also what delivers the amazing team that keeps you in your highest and best role as well.
Yeah. Do you job description? Like, how do you hold them accountable?
Yeah, I mean, there has to be metrics. And a lot of times if you have the right hire, you're not having to hold them to the metrics. They're just automatically holding themselves to the metrics. I mean, my front end LP1, Julia, I've had her for a little over 3 years at this point. I mean, she's the first person that I've ever given a raise to in the first 90 days. Like,
Wow.
And the growth in the first 90 days, but also came from the hospitality world. And so you think about the multitasking, the initiative, the always being on the move, for example. The mortgage space is a very fast acting thing. And so right after I hired her, my admin at the time went on maternity leave and literally without me even asking started fulfilling both of those roles. Just took the initiative herself. And so that's the other thing about hiring an A player. They're going to automatically take the initiative. One thing that you don't even know is that when we got a little bit slow, Julia went and got Salesforce certified on her own without me even asking so that she could build our database at a higher level.
Wow. Guys, this made me think as you're listening to this and you're thinking, I have a question. There are no dumb questions. Please ask questions. We want to cover them and ask them as we go along through Jason's journey. Hiring through this, one thing that I've noticed, like with you and BJ, and you've really stayed firm with this throughout these last 2.5 years. We went through this little bit of a harder market, which I always say everybody's got to take their turn, and we had to take ours.
Yes.
You stayed committed in giving your loan officers amazing front end staff to be able to be successful. Why?
Yeah, I mean, part of it, it goes back to our core value, professional family. And we didn't expect this to last as long as it did. It felt like we were saying, hey, it's another 6 months, but we've been saying it's another 6 months for 2.5 years at this point. Yeah. I do feel like we are about to be rewarded for that staying the course. But you got to rewind and come off of 2021 and 2022. You had record breaking years, for example. So how do you come off record breaking years and then all of a sudden you go into the red and then you're just going to start doing the layoffs of your professional family? And so I think that, many companies didn't walk the talk and profited greatly. And then immediately when they started going into the red, started laying off tens, hundreds, thousands of staff. And we've all seen that. And that's just not something that we entertained. And we knew that we were going to stay the course. We were going to outlast the temporary. And if it was anybody's responsibility to protect the company and right the ship, well, it was the three of ours.
Wow. I feel like you walk the walk. You just didn't talk it. And that was probably my biggest takeaway over the last few years of watching that, because I asked myself and asked you guys why. And you really stayed firm to that. And now you're going to pay off, because the thing that you have is that you have the infrastructure for growth and the team available for growth because you weathered that storm. So hats off to you.
Yeah.
So let's go back to personal production. Like, where are you getting leads today? Where are you coaching? Because you coach your loan officers. Where are you coaching them to be able to get leads today to be able to be ready for this new market?
Yeah, I mean, one, I think that we've taken our eye off, or most of us have taken our eye off the database, for example. And that's something that you have to get back in touch with them right now. Even talking about getting ready, I printed off the last 2.5 years of closed loans reports, and just went through some of them last night from highest rate to lowest. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunities. But if you don't think that other people are doing this as well, I've got a text in my phone from one of my clients that I highlighted that is an opportunity now. Well, guess what? He's asking me to take a look at a solicitation that he got from a mortgage company that we all know. And I said, wow, it's ironic that I was just looking at your loan last night and going to reach out to you on Thursday. And so I think that, as you say it, and I did share this on Saturday, we've got to be sticky with our clients. We've got to be sticky with our realtor partners right now. If you don't think your realtor partners are getting solicited, my number one partner is one of the biggest in all of Central Florida. My wife was actually training her on Chat GPT on Friday, and she got a prospecting call. Now, nobody could ever set an appointment with her because we've been in such deep relationship and partnership for the last 10 years. But if you don't think your agents, even the whales, are getting called, they're getting called.
Yeah, right. They are. So you still got your core realtors. What is the perfect number of realtors you think you should work to be successful in this market? Whatever success means to, I know success to one loan officer means different to the other. And I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. I'm not talking about that, but there's some part of, if I'm going to make a cocktail, if I'm going to make the perfect recipe, there's got to be some type of recipe for a loan officer. In your mind, what is it?
Yeah, I think this will help. I mean, one of our friends who's a coach for the organization called the Core shared something with me before. And he said, when you think about harpoon, what do you think about? And you think about whales, and specifically whale agents. And then when you think about a fishing pole, what do you think about there? And so that could be tuna fishing or mahi fishing. And then when you think of a shrimp boat and a shrimp net, what do you think about? Well, then you think about shrimp. And you can only be in relationship with so many people, but I think that you're constantly trying to build, call it that master realtor list, for example. And that's something that for 1 year, he closed deals from 193 agents that were between 1 and 3 deals. But what he said was he didn't have to give any of his time to get those 1 to 3 deals from those 193 agents, because they were just part of him dragging his shrimp net behind the boat. And that was your email marketing, your drip marketing, what you see on social, video, email campaigns. But then the ones that you're truly going to be in relationship are your tunas and your whales, for example. So again, I think that the business model can be different for other people. I think that in the beginning, when you aren't as valuable, and that's what I want to say is be more valuable, you're not going to have a bunch of the whale relationships that you've developed over a 5 or 10 year period, for example. They're already going to have theirs. And so I think that number changes. For me, that number potentially is going to be lower because maybe I've got a higher quality agent that I'm working with, but I'm still going to pick up those onesie twosies.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing you're struggling with today?
Time. Being distracted. Maybe not. Open door policy. I want to be available to anybody. And my team is saying, quit telling your clients that you're available by call, phone, or email, phone, or text. Defer that to the team. Your team is completely capable of taking that. We need to free up your time. But then if I don't have my stop sign in front of my door, my loan officers and staff know that they can come in and interrupt me in all things. And sometimes they'll even see my lights on and I'm on video or I'm on a Zoom and they'll still try and come in. So
you should put a sign on the door. It's $50 fine to come in. Or it's like 20 burpees or something like that. And then see how many want to come in then.
Yeah.
I had a loan officer. I did this one time. And then the loan officer wanted in so bad. They had the 50 in their hand. They had the 50 in the hand already. And I'm like, get out of here. That wasn't the purpose of that. But,
I want to go back to one thing real quick that I think would help people with hiring. I think when we think about hiring somebody with, let's just say, a $50,000 salary, $50,000 can seem like a lot of money. But I think that if you break that into a 6-month chunk, so worst case scenario, if this doesn't work out, it's 25,000, or even a 90-day chunk, which would be 12,500. That makes it a little easier to make that confident decision to bring on that person, especially maybe when you might not have the results right now, but the results are coming. You know that you need to have that capacity for that. And if you do mishire, you're typically going to know that within the first 30 days. And then when you do identify that that's a mishire, then that's when you need to cut bait. But I think that will give a little bit of confidence in making that, hire when maybe the results aren't here, but you know that they're coming.
Yeah, real quick, we got asked a question. I don't think you do a lot of them in your market. We do it in South Dakota. What's your opinion about rural development or USDA loans? Look, I love them, and we've won awards of doing some of the top in production of USDA loans. Here's my opinion. Know the product. Know the minimum credit score. Know what it likes. Know what type of property it will qualify for. Just because I think so many people, I had a loan officer 1 year did a video of rural development loans. And when you hear the word rural, you think of acreages, not think of small town. And then when you go to a small town and you start to do rural development loans, you get caught up into, you got to make sure that you understand, or you're doing a good job of explaining to your client property condition. Would you have anything more to add to that?
Well, I think from a strategy standpoint, I know that this is some loan officer strategy, right? In metropolitan areas, you have a lot of competition with other loan officers, but maybe when you go out and look out rural, you've got one or two loan officers out there, and maybe you're a lot better than them. And so that's just where I think that there potentially is less competition out there. It's a great loan. I mean, a loan is a loan, but that is a great loan. I mean, you think about 100% financing, for example. You think about if it appraises for more. You think about seller concessions, for example. That is a great loan. Sometimes they do run out of money, for example, but typically that's a temporary thing. So no, I 100%. If it was in my backyard, I would definitely do more USDA loans, but it's a little bit further out, and that's just not part of my strategy right now.
Hey, Omar. Omar's a great loan officer, and his question was LPs and basis points or salary. And so I'll start it off. You ended it. Fair, Jason?
Definitely.
Number one mistake made by a loan officer is they pay their LPs too much. They pay them the way they want to get paid, not the way they should get paid. Then they get down this rabbit hole and they realize, ooh, I've set this up wrong and I'm paying too much, and you can't go back. So have the mindset of what's fair for the position and for the job description for the market. So pay fair, maybe even a pay above what's fair, but don't set yourself up or create a bonus program that you would want. Set up a bonus program for what they want. Number two, pay doesn't always mean the most to an LP or a loan partner. So understanding what their value or love language is, in a sense, like sometimes it's compliments, sometimes it's work-life balance, it's other things than always pay, and understanding what that is in the beginning. To me, I like a salary and a small bonus, not on basis points. 25 a file, paid a bonus on surveys or quality of surveys, like other things based on activity. I think an LP can handle 40 to 50 leads. And if you think about it, when hiring, you made me think of this, Jason, is that if an average lead for a lot of the loan officers is worth between $500 to $600, how many leads would you need in a month to pay for that salary? It's not that much. And I say that to you, you're like, Chris, leads are one thing, but closed loans are another. I said, I understand that, but you're getting so many leads. What is your conversion rate? If you went from 25 to 35, you paid for the LP, you're broke even. Now you can get more leads. Now you're in the clear. But think about it as in, how many leads does it take to offset the salary, and how many leads could they stay in continuous contact with? Because the number one mistake that my playbook LO said this morning was, I'm not converting and I'm not taking care of my leads good enough that I should have if they were worth $600. What advice would you give, Omar?
Yeah, I think your loan partner position is definitely going to be somebody that is an S on the disc profile, has some I, may have some C. They're typically not going to be that driver that potentially we are, but they're looking for safety, and I think that that's where a salary is critical to them. What Chris said, as far as don't pay basis points, we've all made the mistake in paying basis points, and versus paying a per loan or a per file fee, for example. And so a lot of times what I'm paying is $100 per file or per loan. But if you think about, paying basis points, and all of a sudden I do a $1 million or $1.3 million loan, well, there was no more work in most cases required for that loan. And sometimes there's less money for that big loan, but you just gave up a lot of your profit for that. And so a lot of times we are looking for that more affluent client. We're looking for that whale realtor that works in the luxury space, for example. But because of you getting that relationship doesn't mean that you need to pay based on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think sometimes even salarying, like Chris said, a little bit higher is a really good thing tactically. Again, going back to the safety and stability piece, and then bonusing a little bit lower than that. And that's how you're also going to get the best, call it, talent on the operations side.
Yeah. Plus, if you're caught into that trap today and you've set this up and you're trying to redo it, I would say, look, go back to them and say, hey, look, I was thinking about this. I kind of wanted to redo this. And I was wanting to front load a little bit heavier and back off on the bonus. What's your thoughts? I would say the majority, the highest percentage is going to say, yeah, that's what I've always wanted. And having that conversation up, but I'm telling you, it is brutal to back it up and change it. I've been through it, and typically you end up losing them.
Yeah. And I mean, I think again, recognition, quality time, words of affirmation, that is also a form of compensation that you really can't quantify, but that is truly what's important to them. And even think about this. I mean, we learned a lesson a long time ago, maybe 8 years ago. We do have the gentleman back, but we lost a loan partner or a loan officer, a very good loan officer who we loved and have remained friends with. But it was because we weren't spending enough quality time. And so that's something that you need to have in your calendar. It's something that I shared with Chris, is one of my things that he can hold me accountable to for the rest of the year. It's I've got to do a better job dating my loan officers, dating our referral partners, for example, again, remaining sticky.
Yeah, that's so good. So one of the things that I got the honor to be able to have Jason, and I have a group of owners and branch managers that we get together and work on things. And the assignment that I'd given them was to come up with 10 goals that they can accomplish between now and the end of the year, 7 being work, 3 being personal. And Jason's just got done through this exercise. And so I thought it was kind of cool to be able to end on this, Jason, to kind of like walk us through not everything, but maybe a couple that you would want to share, and then to share a couple, but then also why. I told my loan officers today that they've got to turn in their assignment on Monday next week. And I said, look, I'll know if you fluff it because I'm going to ask you why to make sure you're 100% committed to what you did. Because I think there's a lot of loan officers right now that don't want to go through the pain, Jason. And what I don't want them to go through is regret.
Yeah.
And the regret hurts worse. And so you just completed this top 10. You just turned it into me. Walk me through a couple and why.
Yeah, I'll start with the first one on a personal level. So there was 7 that were business and 3 that were personal. And the personal, one thing I've been doing is tracking my sleep. And so I said I've got to get 6.5 hours sleep at least 3 nights a week during my school week or my work week, for example, and track that. And we know that we're going to operate at the highest level and show up and be our best if we're getting ample amounts of sleep. And so last night I was a little bit low on that, but it's something that I'm tracking and something that I'm aware of. And I was even talking about it to loan officers that I was coaching yesterday. If you're not getting enough sleep, put yourself to bed sooner. So, because we still have to wake up.
Does it stress you out? I mean, I've watched you over the last month start tracking this sleep, and I feel like it's like stressing you out even worse.
No, it's not. So last night my shoulder was hurting a little bit, so I was kind of a little bit restless in my sleep. So
okay,
worked it out this morning though. But joining a local golf club is important to me. That's a golf membership, and then weekly date nights with flowers and a card for my wife. That is something on a personal level that is important to me. She's my number one. But from a business standpoint, it was hiring 5 producing loan officers before the end of the year. And that's something that right now, or up until this week, my calendar was not reflecting that potential goal. Right. And so that's something that Chris can hold me accountable to. So I have to call 5 new loan officers every single week on Friday. And then this is the discipline. And then I also have to call the loan officers that I'm currently in relationship and incubating. Like, you're not looking for the loan officers that are unhappy, ready to make the move. You want to find the ones that are happy and maybe not getting the coaching or the leadership and development that you know that you can take them to the next level. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm also looking for the ones that are a great fit with our professional family, because if you're not a great fit in the professional family, I don't care what your production is or what potential you have, you're not getting hired. I want to finish the year with at least 50 million in production and to average 13 loans a month. One of the things that I want to do is our company has a target of 130 loans a month. I want to be 10% of that. And again, it comes down to leading by example. And one thing that I just added as a result of this exercise was that I want 20% of my fourth quarter volume to be made up of refinances, which is not the case right now. But I did share that goal with the team in my team meeting this morning. And basically looking at my closed loan report, I'm like, we can definitely hit this goal.
Now, you made me think about something that I feel like you do really good job at, which is you're coaching your loan officers. Walk me through if I'm a loan officer, or I'm a branch manager, or I'm an owner, how should I be coaching my loan officers, and how do you do it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got several different opportunities, and it may seem like a lot, but I say that we're a coaching company that happens to do mortgages. But every Monday at 8 a.m., I do a loan officer kickoff call from 8 to 8:30. It's via Zoom, to where I have all my loan officers show up, and we're really coaching on what to say. And so there is something that we call the account executive strategy, where sometimes with your agent calls, you're discussing leads and pre-approvals, or you're discussing deals. But then the real important thing is, a lot of times the reason that loan officers don't make the phone calls is because they don't know what to say. And so I will come up with multiple bullet points, kind of go-to conversations every single week for them to have. And they just get to pick and choose. And I role play, but I rattle those off. And then we know that we also have to invite them to things. And so you can't invite every single realtor on every single call to something, but we have to be face-to-face with our realtors. We have to be moving that relationship from business to personal. Again, it goes back to the friendship level that we all need to aspire to have with our relationships. And you're not going to be friends or dating buddies with all of your agents, but you definitely can have that group of 5 or that group of 10 where you're in deep relationship. You are the primary or go-to lender. But then there's all these other different lender relationships too. So we can only be the primary or go-to for so many, but maybe you're the backup. Maybe you're the backup. Or when their loan officer is on vacation, or when their loan officer can't do a deal, or maybe you're the product or program guy or gal. And so Chris knows this. I am known for the Simple Bridge in Central Florida, and just closed one 2 weeks ago. I've got another one that the bridge closed yesterday. We're closing on the new purchase on Monday. I am literally known, and I didn't share any products prior to becoming known for the Simple Bridge. And we have so many loan products in our arsenal. We have to have those conversations with our agents, whether they need it now or they need it in 60 days, because that is becoming more valuable and being a conversion partner for your agents. And then the other thing is, sometimes we've got the business partner. I don't embrace the pay-to-play relationships anymore, but being a business partner also is coaching the agents to help them win and help them get to the next level. And that's also what you can be looked at.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I mean, Jason needs the credit. I get a call one night, and Jason's like, "Hey, is there any way you could do a bridge loans for us? We don't have a great outlet, and if you did that, then you could do the takeout, which they'd be both get done at the same time." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool." I don't even know. You probably came up with the name, the Simple Bridge.
I did.
Yeah. So
it was 6:30 in the morning, getting out of the shower. I texted Chris, which it was 4:30 for him. And I'm like, "It's the Simple Bridge." And when he woke up and saw the text, he's like, "It's the Simple Bridge." And so that's how it got named. But really, it's simple for your agents, meaning they don't have to change the way that they introduce a client to you. It's simple for you. You're pre-approving that bridge loan in the first 24 hours. We're underwriting that loan simultaneously with the new purchase. You get the takeout every single time where the bridge loan doesn't work. And so you're guaranteed to get that loan. And it really just provides a lot of peace of mind. But I really just wanted to provide a solution in the marketplace for my agents who were really struggling 3 years ago when you just couldn't get a contingent offer done. But I just had a really cool one that I did a story behind yesterday, to where I didn't need the bridge loan. I didn't need the bridge loan. I got a call from a listing agent who didn't even know that whether or not I did bridge loans. She had a 2.049 listing, and the relocating executive had already gone under contract out of state for a $1.25 million home. But she had 40 days and really wasn't getting any traction. So she's like, "I can obviously drop this purchase price or list price several $100,000 and get it under contract. But if you have a bridge loan, potentially I get to protect that." And that's exactly what happened. I had the loan clear to close, had a bridge loan in place. We had a $750,000 loan. Well, guess what? She got a cash deal at 1.95, closed in time. My guy ended up doing $100,000 loan and not needing the bridge loan, but it protected that list price to potentially allow them to net an extra $100,000 or $200,000 from that sale. That's a story. Now, here's a tactic that was shared by Tony, one of my loan officers, last Monday during that kickoff call. He basically took 20 of his most recent reviews, because we all get them, but they just say, oh, Jason and his team were amazing. I would highly recommend him. But it doesn't do anything to tell the story and all the problems that you saw behind that and the uniqueness. And so now what I'm doing is taking the reviews and I'm filming what the story is behind that review, and that will be the reel, or that will be the post.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. Plus you're branding yourself and people are remembering that. I love it. So as we kind of wrap up, I thought it would be fun. Never done this before, Jason. So you're the guinea pig. You ready to be the guinea pig?
Always.
Okay, cool.
For you, I will, Chris. How's that?
Oh, okay, all right. So I thought I would come up with popular objections that loan officers go through. By the way, I made a deck of cards. Jason has a few of his comments in there. I made a deck, 52 deck of cards filled with objections. If you follow me at Chris Vincent 72 on Instagram or on Facebook, and you put it in there, DM, you want my objection cards so you can get better at practicing. I think LOs stink at practicing, and then they get to the game, which is in front of that client, in front of that realtor, in front of that builder, and we fumble. We don't do as good as we thought. And so I came up with these cards. I just got them all done, so I'm pretty excited about it. And so I thought I'd just roll a couple with you. You ready?
Yeah.
Jason, I tell you what, I work with a few lenders, but one of my things is when I work with a lender, I expect you to help me with my Zillow advertising.
Yeah.
You have to answer this.
I know. Chris, I understand that may be something that's important to you, and it's something that other lenders participate in. It's something that I choose not to participate in. And because I feel like I can provide additional tactics that are going to get you additional income, that are going to create additional relationships for you. And if you'll meet with me for 15 minutes, I can actually show that to you.
Good. Jason, I actually found a lower rate online, and I'm just thinking about, I'm possibly going to just go with that lower rate than use you.
All right. Let me ask you this. Does that lower rate have any discount or points attached to that right now? Because one of the clients that I recently saw that was shopping, somebody gave a very low rate, in fact, significantly lower than me, but it had a $4,400 fee to that. And what I reminded them is that we won't be in the loan long enough to recapture or even break even. And I'm going to professionally manage your mortgage, because we know that rates are elevated right now. And I'm going to professionally manage your mortgage for when the right time is to refinance. That's going to improve interest and also improve monthly cash flow. So I just need to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, and that you potentially aren't being charged for that super low interest rate.
Now, as I'm going through a couple of these questions, what's really going through your brain?
Are you saying me?
Yeah.
Couple things I'd say are, well, one, I know that my loan officers are having these conversations and that they're not ready to immediately be game ready. And that's something that we talked about. It's something that I came back from the Ford event saying that we were going to improve our sales skills, which is going to increase conversion after we heard Phil Jones, for example.
Right. My last one is this. Jason, you're a great guy, but my wife asked me this question and I didn't know how to answer it. Why should I use you?
The reason you should use me is because I care more about your transaction. I care more about the experience. I care more about your personal finances than maybe even you do. And sometimes I can remove the emotion. I can take all of my experience and give you the best advice. But one thing that I also do is I meet with you face-to-face via Zoom, because I want to share something I want to teach you that's called 4 Steps to Building Wealth. And it's something that was shared to me almost 2 decades ago, and it has changed my financial life. And so that is something that I taught one of the other coaching things that we do, Chris, and I think you know this, is we have Teachable Tuesday at our office. And I taught 4 steps to building wealth to the company last week. And I said that I've got 2 loans right now in my pipeline that I wouldn't have had if I didn't teach the 4 steps to building wealth. And it's like, what differentiates you from being the loan officer for a transaction versus a potential mortgage planner for life? And I feel like, one, the Zoom, you can't change somebody's financial life over the phone. You can't truly be in relationship over the phone. And that's just where I think that the Zoom appointment is really important, but truly having that impactful professional sales presentation as well. And it's the other thing, Chris, that, again, you go back to walking the talk, right? If we didn't embrace the 4 steps to building wealth, if we didn't have the liquidity or the savings there, how can you operate in the red and not lay off your staff?
Right. Yeah, if you guys want that 4 steps of Jason, I'm sure he'd share it with me, and just put it in, just send me a DM and I will make sure that the team gets that right over to you. Like I said, if you want to follow me, or if you're following me and you want my 52 deck of objections, I will send that out to you as my personal gift to you. Jason, as we end, as I'm trying to get a little bit better each time, I thought, you know what? I put you in the hot seat for 46 minutes. Put me on the hot seat. What would be 1 or 2 questions that you would like to ask me?
Yeah, you asked me what was the biggest challenge or obstacle that I'm dealing with. What would be one for you?
I would think my biggest obstacle is how to grow right. And how to, like the old John Wooden little story was, go fast. How does he say it? Be quick, but don't hurry. And I need to be quick and don't hurry. And I was pulling into the parking lot on Monday and I looked over and the sprinkler system was running. And when I looked over at the sprinkler system, and there was probably 8 heads out there, and there were 3 heads not working. One was barely spitting out. The other one was only spitting in one direction. And the other one was broken, so it was just shooting straight down. And I thought, that's us. Even though those other 5 heads are working perfectly, I had 3 heads not. And what happens when those 3 heads don't work? The sod dies around it. I've got to go through and fix all my sprinkler system. And I've got to do it right, because isn't it true? We can't control experience for our clients just solely ourselves. It takes a team, it takes an army to be able to give that experience. And I go, just like that sprinkler system, it only takes 3 to make the sod look like crap. And I gotta get the sod to look perfect. So that's one of my big struggles right now that I'm working on. And how quick can I go? But I know if I go too quick, it won't last. It won't be as good. Just like you said in hiring, hire slow, fire fast. That's super important. And I got an amazing team. And I got a team that really cares. But we can be better. What else you got? You got me one more? Or are we good?
Yeah, and that is the focus. I mean, if you focus on getting better, bigger happens, success happens. I think when you just focus on getting bigger, that doesn't mean you're necessarily better, and that sabotages getting better. And that's just where, again, we focus on coaching. We focus on having mentors. One of the things that I think that we do a good job of is having that beginner's mindset. And I feel like I sit on the outside and I get to experience the leadership that you bring to me, but you have that beginner's mindset. You're constantly growing yourself and trying to grow at a faster level. What's important about that to you?
Scared. There was a time in my life where I felt like my loan officers were learning faster than I was. And then I didn't feel value. And then I felt like I should quit. And so that's when I met a coach. That's when I started to really learn. And because that little nugget right there, that little scared nugget thing sitting there, it like pushes me to continue to learn. Like you're probably listening to this and you're like, okay, did I want to listen to this or didn't want to listen to this? And I'm like, I can't get enough. Like, I just can't stop learning because I'm scared. Because maybe my competitors will learn something faster than I would. Maybe my loan officers or my A's will learn something faster than I. Like, how do I stay ahead? And how do I find myself or get myself into rooms where I'm the dumbest? Where I can just sit there and, how do I take notes?
With a big Sharpie, and I don't know how he does it.
With black Sharpie. And page after page after page after page, because I'm scared. I want to continue to learn to stay ahead. And I'm afraid if I don't, I'll fall behind. And I never want to lose the race.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're a noticer, so I have to write these copious notes and try and hang on to every word. And Chris hangs on to the most important things, and that's why he can use a Sharpie. But it blows my mind for the year that you're able to do that. So,
well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Listen, I see Steve. I see Renee. Like, look, we'll make sure we get those out. Jason, send me. We've already got a couple people that want your 4 keys to wealth. It is really good. I personally have seen it and walked through it. I've shared it with my loan officers. Still to this day, my loan officers are using it. It is a goodie. It's the taking the time and slowing down. Wouldn't you agree, Jason? To actually doing it is the key.
Yeah. Well, and this was something that was asked to me the other day when I was doing Teachable Tuesday, and they said, how long does it take you to do your client appointment? And I can do 95% of my client appointments in 30 minutes or less. But to truly provide impact that most loan officers aren't taking the time because they think it's going to take too much time, I promise you it will make a difference.
Well, and if a lead is worth $600, aren't they worth more than a little more half an hour?
Yes.
You guys, I hope you enjoyed Jason. He's a true friend. You haven't seen anything yet until you meet Gwen. Well, maybe I have to put Gwen on this. We'll get another side. What do you think?
She's the rock star.
She's the rock star. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
It's an honor. Thanks, brother.